You can see this whole thing is complicated. I guess the ultimate question is, when does pride in your children become ego for yourself? We're really fortunate that we have like this really big, lovely green tree in our garden. Gives loads of shade, looks beautiful in springtime and in summer. But in autumn and winter, all of these leaves have to come down. So I have to do some raking now. And I hope you could join me while I talk about something I've been thinking about when it comes to parenting and fatherhood. Having kids means you get sports stuff everywhere. So this last term, my boys have gotten quite a bit of help from me when it comes to their schoolwork. A lot of support when it comes to studying, a lot of encouragement. I put a lot of effort into them. And the results showed, right? They put a lot of effort in themselves. They did a lot of hard work. And they did, I'm not going to lie, really, really well at school this term. And I'm very proud of them. But here's my question. Am I allowed to be proud of myself? Because, come closer. Here's the thing. They get all the awards, but I also put in a lot of work and time and effort. So is their success my success? Or is that kind of toxic to think as a parent? Because look, ultimately, they did the big part of the work. They're the ones that had to actually submit the assignments. They're the ones that actually had to sit down and do all the tests. And they're the ones that did more studying. But I guess the question is then, where does pride in your children's success transfer to something less wholesome, like self-pride or a bit of an ego, or maybe becoming even a little bit cocky because you're suddenly living vicariously through your children? And you know what? I think we see this a lot on the side of the sports field where we have, let's face it, mostly dads shouting and encouraging their children to pass the ball or do better. And they really start to act as if their children are already in the Springboks or the Proteas or in the SA netball squad or whatever. They're under 9Cs, dude. Why are you getting so intense? So like it becomes really obvious on the side of a sports field where it's like, oh, that is the ugly version of what we're talking about, where somehow your self-worth as a adult parent is linked to this child's success on the sports field. That's dangerous. Okay, I need to get all of these things into a bucket somehow. Yeah, seriously. I had a big bucket somewhere, I promise you, and I have no idea where it's gone. Okay, but anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So it's super obvious when you see this on the side of the sports field, but I think it's less obvious in other spaces. So like academics, or even if your child does well culturally. And I think it's really, really, really insidious when your child behaves really well. Okay, I'm just going to try and shift this slowly towards the compost heap in the back there. Because if your child is getting compliments about how well they behave, that surely means that you must be a good parent, right? Good children, well-behaved children, polite children, eloquent children, those children come from good parents. And so therefore you can pat yourself on the back and kind of take a little bit of credit for that. But then I suppose you have to ask yourself, what are you saying about people whose kids maybe aren't as well-behaved? And maybe they aren't as well-behaved for a bunch of other reasons beyond just parenting. You can see how quickly this kind of parental pride thing can become really, really like ugly. But again, on the other flip side of all of this, I think it's good to go, hey, I've put effort into these children. I've put effort into teach them the right way to behave. I've put effort into teach them how to be good people. I've put effort into helping them study and to give them everything they need to succeed. So I'm going to be proud of myself because I deserve to be proud of myself. Because that helps me to keep going. You can see this whole thing is complicated. I guess the ultimate question is, when does pride in your children become ego for yourself? So let's see how honest we could be. Can you in the comments put down a time where you thought that maybe you were crossing that line a bit from being really proud of your child, like so amazed at who they are and what they become and what they can do, and you've crossed over to, I am so great. My child is great, therefore I am great. Everyone look at me as the parent. Put that down in the comments because I think this is something we all struggle with. Let me know. If you're watching this and you don't leave something in the comments, you're just leaving me on my own, high and dry. And you don't want to do that because, I have great kids, so therefore I deserve to be treated well. Thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see what your comments are. Cheers.